Level 1. The raw feed. The ledger doesn't lie, even if the names on the accounts do. You are sitting in the dim light of your private study, the hum of the city 50 floors below sounding like a distant, irrelevant static. On the screen before you, a series of offshore transfers reveals a systematic hemorrhage of capital not to a competitor, but to the people you share Sunday dinners with. The sound of the crystal decanter hitting the glass is the only noise in the room, a sharp, cold reminder of your isolation. This is the weight of the final decision, the realization that at the top, blood is just another liquid that can be spilled or traded. The market is silent, waiting to see if you are a leader or merely a relative. 1. The fragility of the inner circle. Detecting the systemic leak, the discovery of a resource drain within your organization, is an objective failure of your monitoring protocol. When the architects of this theft are family members, the risk is no longer just financial. It is a crisis of command and systemic authority. You must move beyond the emotional shock and analyze this as a simple vulnerability in the chain of command that requires immediate extraction. The board and the market are watching to see if you possess the coldness to prioritize the survival of the empire over the preservation of blood ties. You recognize that the hustle of those close to you has become a parasitic drain on the organization's energy, requiring a surgical response. The transition from trust to tactical observation is your first step in reclaiming the hegemony of your assets. Level 2 minus despecialization. A strategist does not scream. A strategist audits. You move through the next week with the practiced grace of a predator, maintaining the data silence necessary to trap the thieves in their own complexity. You attend the family functions, watching the smiles of those who are currently draining your legacy. To them, you are a generous patriarch. To yourself, you are a forensic technician mapping a shadow hierarchy. Every hour spent reviewing these logistical leaks is an investment in the inevitable obsolescence of those who betrayed the machine. You are no longer looking for an apology. You are looking for the exact leverage points to trigger their removal. 2. The audit of betrayal. Mapping shadow extractions. A strategist does not act on suspicion, but on the hard engineering of results and data verification. You must initiate a silent audit to quantify the exact volume of asset drainage and identify the specific leverage points used by these internal predators. Reports from global intelligence forums suggest that family-led embezzlement is often masked by administrative complexity and false loyalty. By mapping these shadow hierarchies, you prepare the logistical ground for a surgical removal of the threat without triggering a collapse of the legacy architecture. You identify the draining resources, the specific accounts and shell companies used to bypass your official command. This audit reveals the engineering of a betrayal that is as technical as it is personal, requiring an equally technical resolution. Before we initiate the protocol of forced exit, an elite operator understands that a diversified stream of capital is the ultimate shield. While you reorganize the hierarchy of your empire, ensure your personal digital assets are performing at peak efficiency. Honeygain allows you to monetize your unused internet bandwidth, transforming a dormant resource into a constant flow of secondary capital. In the game of power, there is no such thing as too much leverage. Use the link in the first pinned comment to secure a $3 bonus and begin your own resource extraction today. Level 3. The Operator Protocol. The illusion of trust is a luxury that leads to the obsolescence of your market relevance. You sit at the head of the boardroom table, the same table where your siblings and cousins hold seats they didn't earn. You look at them not as kin, but as inefficient operators who have compromised the system's intent. To protect the empire, you must implement a protocol of total decoupling. This is a cold calculation of the opportunity window. You are restabilizing your assets by removing the friction of sentiment. The boardroom is a predatory ecosystem, and you are the apex architect. 3. Neutralizing sentiment. Decoupling family from the boardroom. The illusion of trust is a luxury that leads to the obsolescence of your market relevance. To protect the system, you must implement a protocol of total decoupling, treating family members as inefficient operators who have compromised the organization's energy. This is not a personal vendetta. It is a calculation of the opportunity window to restabilize your assets. By adopting a cynical ambition, you recognize that the world is moved by interest, and that your primary duty is to the hegemony of the empire you built. You replace emotional appeals with a systemic confidence model, that leaves no room for negotiation or second chances. Decoupling sentiment ensures that your decisions are anchored in the science of strategy, rather than the fog of shared history. Level 4. Systemic Mastery. The execution of the recovery phase must be swift and technical. You present the evidence not in a court of law, but in a closed room where the air is cold and the exits are monitored. You utilize the psychology of power to offer an exit architecture that forces the offenders into a position of total disadvantage. You freeze their liquidity access before they can even reach for their phones. This is the logistics of asset recovery, a total reprogramming of the power dynamics. You are not asking for the money back, you are seizing the variables of their future, or protocol of forced exit. The logistics of asset recovery. The execution of the recovery phase must be swift, technical, and devoid of didactic moralism. You utilize the psychology of power to offer a exit architecture that forces the offenders into a position of total disadvantage. This involves the immediate freezing of liquidity access and the implementation of a new systemic confidence model that prevents future trations. By reclaiming the stolen resources, you demonstrate a mastery of efficiency that reinforces your position as the absolute architect of the board. You remove the parasites with clinical indifference, ensuring the blood ties are severed to prevent further systemic rot. Reclaiming these assets is a validation of your internal fury, channeled into a structured, profitable outcome. Level Final. The system, the master. The removal of the internal parasite allows for a total reprogramming of the empire's operational load. The silence in the office is now a productive silence, the hum of a machine that is no longer being sabotaged from within. You fill the power vacuum with technical operators, men and women, who understand that loyalty is a function of performance and clear intent, not DNA. This experience is the final trial of fire, a harsh validation that at the summit, the only true peer is the system you have built. You are the sovereign operator, and your legacy is now a hardened corporate fortress. 5. Hegemony restored. Rebuilding the chain of command. The removal of the internal parasite allows for a total reprogramming of the empire's operational load. You must now fill the power vacuum with technical operators who understand that loyalty is a function of performance and clear intent. This experience serves as a harsh validation of the strategist's path, the realization that at the summit, you are truly alone in the final decision. The rebuilt system is now more resilient, having survived a trial of fire that would have destroyed a weaker leader. You have moved from a state of vulnerability to a state of absolute command, where every variable is monitored and every operator is vetted. The chain of command is now a reflection of your will, unburdened by the friction of familial expectation. 6. Conclusion. The sovereign legacy. The ultimate proof of your authority is the ability to cut through sentiment to protect the long-term vision of your empire. You have successfully navigated the most dangerous form of betrayal, transforming a potential collapse into a lesson in systemic leverage. Your legacy is no longer a fragile family business, but a hardened corporate fortress governed by the cold logic of high-level execution. The power remains in your hands, absolute and unquestioned, because you were willing to do what was necessary to remain the sovereign operator. The cost of the summit. You sit in the same chair where you started, but the room feels different. The traitors are gone, the assets are recovered, and the empire is secure. But as you look at the empty seats around the family table, answer with the coldness of a master. Was the price of this absolute hegemony too high? Or is the silence of a secure empire the only music you ever truly wanted to hear?